lo Nam Bon Dun Chan Ra Wen Jan Je Zo Len Do Lai Jin Chen Dun Dun Dam Man Chan Je Ra Xin Je Ren Je Lan Chan Za Lo Dol Nen Dol Wen Lam Yan Den Lam Ba Na La Ran Dong Ge Xian Jian Dam Ba Yin Den Xian Gen Den La Yan Chang Za Jian Za Lan Chang Za Jian Ba Je Lan Chang Za Gen Den De Lan Chang Za Lun Sam Lan Dan Do Gen Chang Za San Jie Yuan Den San Mei Jian Jian Jie Yuan Den San Mei Gen De Yuan Den San Mei San Mei Jiao Lan De Jian Nam Ba Min Ba San Mei Jiao Nam Da Xin Dun Jie Wa Rai Xiu
我们念开经偈，无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。
Xin chư tôn đức và các Phật tử, chúng ta tụng bài khai kinh nghĩa. Pháp Phật cao siêu rất nhiệm màu, ngày quân kiếm dễ hay đâu, con lạy nghe thấy xin chỉ tụng nhân nghĩa như lai hiểu thật sâu. Nam mô Bảo Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.
Chan salva go chen Jesu yera ko se solva ye kya chung se da ke jesa va tham chan ju mo sa xian bin chen ju xian me do da ri ro ni xian yin de jian bon de sang jie xian do mi de Nam Dai Yin Lan Jen Bar Xiu Yin Da Ran Nam Mandra Lan Gan Ne Da Ya Mi Sim Je Nam Je Sam Ban Da Lu Yin Jen Da Jin Da
真正的满天白，千千可伦可人的罗。
大家你们着往哥们那都接老不说搞定了。行当团队人生那什么是那我现在现在这来，台前人咱说说没结果了，一些特别人的说的呢，我这他们这先不满意了吧？查就跑到土接见这个，搞定他们过路人不去，土他们下去光被送的说。同样的那里都先满去，土接这些，我讲这个古土上女的同样用处多。前来些我这个都说了，娘到到别这手结巴到，等着分别土上入的去。这就算是多不人这都说，把这咱们老马人不去，大概就是北面的来说，家庭全部个人就送的，各送土去，我都找到说。路到那些个，这么大的没给弄到，我估计大概是什么，他们这个都大概缺点都，缺呢现在南城的年人的一句有路说，缺dharma 现在人就慢慢的会拒绝，个很快的从多的去，所以有些弄下来了，拿出缺钱。那时候去的，样那时候工作是点吧，那时候团队是点吧，太兄弟那个身体那么下去了，啥呢？身的身中14분所有吧，身的身中过了，给为身的没给为身的，龙马定是身，但多呢，身体那么下14분，卡萨布。itu awat ini semua adalah Allah berdoa, lam thapa tamji sempat duksul thela, tomba tuji janji subject derwasan jumache dusu tabeku chojiku ni sobanane kasa shubare sabba sengete tawa dame tabe sharapte shudu neje sabba zambile lo chulu mongo yorsde 대출로 찍라 맞아봐. 가르서는 동아리 담지게 잡아 다든지 몸바디 봐서서 다든지 몸바디 기념보때 담에 또 셔럽 마토테 매버래. 뭐에 내소리 담에 또 셔럽도 줄은 마치 바르도 때 다다 동안 다다 제네 바르도 나와 셔럽 되어버려. 제네 바르도 안 나세 때라 아니 melam nintrich pardo ta samdenje pardo tene cheke pardo tene chuni osach pardo tevassa balleje pardo so soyare tena su tanda jende pardo ki nawante chulbe naware simche chulbe nawa se medem bala demberje metak bala taparje da mesawala zamarje da menje barat 다마발라 다준진 담비철로 퇴송검서 마치나 주카요레선 람로 람들 시비코르 참 되어버려 레다메레 소소박세다나 신하지레
The word Dharma has a sense of objects of knowledge, that which we can come to know. And this includes phenomena that we can know. It includes the path. It includes nirvana. There are actually 10 different meanings of this word dharma or dhamma or chö. And if we get into the details of what that includes, it includes a presentation of the way things appear, the way the subject appears, the way things actually are, the nature of phenomena. It includes the apparent nature of things, which is the relative level, and it includes the way things truly are, which is the ultimate. And it includes also a presentation of the mind and mental factors. These presentations are extremely detailed. It includes a presentation about virtuous, non-virtuous, and neutral mental states, a presentation on these things that is clear and delightful to learn about. In particular, the teachings of the Dharma teach us about the path that leads to liberation and omniscience. And when it comes to that, we find this statement that the Buddha made immediately upon awakening, where he said, "I have encountered a nectar-like Dharma which is profound, peaceful, simple, luminous, and uncompounded." Before, when the Buddha made the statement, a Dharma which is profound, it is a reference to the wisdom that realizes the absence of self. In the world at that time, there were many, many different religious traditions and systems, but none of them taught about the absence of self. And the reason why the Buddha taught this is because ego clinging to the self, that kind of ignorance that takes the form of ego clinging, is the root of all samsara. And there is only one single remedy to this, and the remedy is to realize that there is no self, that wisdom that realizes the absence of a self. For as long as we do not recognize this, we continue to suffer. And the suffering takes the form of different states, like, for example, the bardo of this life, the intermediate state that is our experience in this life, which has subsidiary bardos, like the bardo of dream, which is the double delusion bardo, the bardo of meditation. And then there's the bardo of dying. And then finally we come then to the bardo, the luminous bardo of dharmata, and then the bardo, the karmic bardo of becoming. So right now we find ourselves in the bardo of this life. The experience of the bardo of this life is the deluded experience of sentient beings. That experience is characterized by looking at things that aren't real and holding to the idea that they are real. It's characterized by looking upon things that are impermanent and yet perceiving them as if they were permanent. It is characterized by looking at things which are unclean and thinking that is clean. And in particular, it is characterized by believing that we have a self, when in fact there is no self. If we do not learn, reflect, and meditate on the Dharma, we end up on the wrong path, leaving the path behind, and continuing to wander in samsara. Whether this is true or not, we can check and find out very clearly for ourselves.
Lamlo lamdor sipikor cham sagado tacham bi cham solte jabate se chana khasabu shya yabajere tesong za tantando ngado chiri shya sanje ki sube ki tambi chole jamba mena shya la mongba se teya chonde ne tendur tuju 최탐지 땡징 renjung 말에 땡징 renjung 마셔 봤더라 내내 렌델라 몽바 때니 낭미나라 아니 참좀 매봐 아니 침세서도 마찬바 자랍소나 핑추야 미참바 도르는 잠빌레라 네다 무게 망두 숨제 집에 집되대 안에 너무 투주 대 안에 챔펠 제주수 로시기래 대답을 그 너무 투주 그 동안 제가 찾아라 쫓아버리셔 봤잖아 안에 텐델라 망몽 바깥 거래 텐델라 망몽나 렌델라 망바래 렌델 망몽나 렌년 바테 랑기 방요 그래 Lengemba, Lenge dictiki, run and nokere, shell and nokere, cool and nokere. They give a letter, monkey, checkere, run a penkere, shell a penkere, cool a penkere. Tinderson, Tersanje, Sumbeki, Impote, that landed of Mamona, Rani, Churchin, Yamsamana, Tarbata, Tamsi, Bacombata to it. Tetabuke Tamshu. Luha mebate shenla teni shenji surishindi nyabzulanda shenya tarbata tamshishiba kompa tokore matsi beke kora 타메 타본다고야 하여튼 잠빌레 추용라 시디 주거나 시디 자와데 체워 파와레 체워 파와데 산지게 추냠스 랑송나네 다 당부대 오도다고데 전에 체워 파와데 대시시 받는지 송소레 수치수도 가리레 에서나 라고야 말에 나다야 말에 슈퍼페야 말에 수tul 소야 나서 말에 수치수 당부대 로가 예수 주권이 셀 체워 파와데레
On the wrong path, leaving the path behind, we wander in samsara. And if we can see the process by means of which this unfolds, it's something that we ourselves can see clearly and directly. In general, there's so many different things that one could learn in our world, but if we don't study the Dharma, then we end up confused about objects of knowledge in general. We lack an understanding about the way things are. And in particular, all phenomena are interdependently originated. And so if we lack an understanding of interdependence, of dependent origination, then we end up confused about karmic cause and effect. And when we have confusion when it comes to karmic actions and their results, then this leads to a lot of discord. It leads to not getting along even within our family. It leads to discord and conflict with our neighbors. It leads to conflict between different countries. And all of the difficult situations in our world, like sickness, famine, warfare, and so on, all of these actually unfold out of this kind of lack of understanding of karmic cause and effect. And to alleviate this kind of painful situation, we need to understand interdependence in an unmistaken way. When we understand interdependent origination in an unmistaken way, then we understand how karmic cause and effect works. And when we really understand how karmic cause and effect works, we will very naturally avoid non-virtue. And in this way then, we will see actually that engaging in non-virtuous actions, evil deeds, obscurations, and so on, that this is harmful to ourselves and that this is harmful to others. We will see that these things are harmful to everyone. And then we will naturally engage in virtuous actions because we know that virtue is beneficial for ourselves and that it is beneficial for others. In fact, virtuous actions benefit everyone. So this we can say that is the real heart of the Buddha's teachings, that we need not make a mistake about abandoning non-virtue and practicing virtue, because this is the foundation of the path that leads us to liberation and omniscience. It's important to follow this path ourselves. It's important also to explain this path to others so that they also can attain liberation and omniscience. And even just when it comes to peace and happiness in our world, if in a peaceful world where people experience peace and happiness, the root of that kind of peaceful world is also refraining from harm. This is like the very most preliminary aspect of Buddhist practice. The Dharma is not harming. This is what the Tathagatas have taught. And so the step when it comes to Buddhist practice is not meditating on a deity. It's not reciting mantras. It's not making offerings or observing discipline. Our very first step as a Buddhist practitioner is to stop harming. Not physically, not verbally, and not mentally, to refrain from harming others in these ways. That's our first step as a Buddhist practitioner.
Rande dajen ba kompa te la yang chushu chirimo chiryong chirmyo dajen ba se sikoro da se kamsho rudo to korjo keke dawo chide suri se chada nyede chada ke zawa de kare se mari momba tere mari momba se kare se zawa de da zibelo 다지티 당시에 맛있게 벌들라 안에 걸어 동아리지 않을라 다르게야 말해 걸어 동아리게 잘을 수디야래 대소자 담배체 장고야 장은 염술한 것 남슬라다 랑긴 데브 다탐지 좀 더야래 동아리담지 그 자와내서 더야래 대소자 담배체 되지 냠리체에 시도 내제 가르쳐버려 세세계도 통통래 예박하지 가서 그 반주리나 세도래 잡아 처복한데지나야 잡아도 yar도래 어떻게 레슨을 되지 가리나 진준도래 가나대요 말해 가나야 딱되면 벌써 가나야 님보요 말해 저거야고 저거이네 리다게 미줄에 예받아봐 맞아 되네 바저 런주 그 치르들 땀냐다게 치르들 톱 커서 그 치르들 롱아여서 텔수비 세대 인지 값을라요 텔수비 니 국세대 군시 남시 대 초두기 시바티 그시 롱도 듣디 잘도요 잘네 아니 값깔라 메남 세대 메야 메남 그 나와대요 되네 메남 메포 되게요 메남 그 나와대 dempai sam takpai sam ane dedu 남반나 쳐봤어요 연구요래 근데 뒤에 값을라요 근데 로주 담ян다 탑 거서 실들이야 롱아예송 텔수베 있어 맨날 값이야 맞아 아 딘데스 출도요래 그 출발이 다들 나와대 출발이 맨날 그 나와대 출발 전전에 때는 나스 셈지 초를 장어시합으로 진질로 써야 돼 러리 고소 손도라 때부터버리 진질로 써 드스간이 나라 드산지 추서 냠선다 저 내가 내가 생각했다 때들이 스간지 시행하는 저 갈고치 뭐 지티는 뒤어래 같아 같이 이렇게 장망보 부타보 yapsılan tutumla teletene annelu totori nelu sende dik kablute yarak tapso damme top sharap so dik kapso çötam ces sugne döbe sugne namchen parti döbe çötam cerashin chi matoba teni telapa telapa be papsurteya jalbe kata habil longta otopchi chemata ta sosu ni nyamnyota la sopa ala la tenne tene ane toni osu to goyore toni osu to porchebala so la poche sapre so la poche sapre chebala tene oman jupanala sacho soyore sacho kenyamle chesu tinala ya 진속 두다 탑도 마스송도와 오 tetap부터 장내 샤에 마엠바 또 냠솔라야 말해 냠솔라나 돌고 냠솔 말로나 돌게 말해 냠솔라나 발라지 툴 냠서마나 벤데다이 춤 소야 좀 세테리 대야 대버 신부께 냠내기 싸베싸베도 돈이 인지리 대를 때는 돈이 인지 또 줄나 발라지 툴은 줄 돈이 인지 마도나 벤데다이 코르 참 소야 대바 소자 대나니다 대버 신부께 추출 샷 강샷 강칼파든 칼파든 아니 너 아니 너는 데더러